Welcome everybody to yet another live interview with Become a Fearless Father. Quickly want to talk about something. Every single time you do something, try and improve. Always try to stay open to learn something new. Now, my next guest, Peter Chow, let me show him real quick to you. He already taught me something he doesn't even know. He doesn't
Oh,
even know yet.
hey man,
Um,
how are you?
so I always prepare, and I just prepare topics, and I'm sharing one topic with him because I just wanted to make sure that he's okay with me asking him about this and sharing his information on this. And he said yes. And then he says, "So the first part is going to be about being a dad."
Right,
And
anything you want, man.
no, I know, but it's not.
Uh,
And then
I,
I
I'm,
was
I'm,
thinking,
I'm,
wait
I'm
a
he- I'm here
minute.
for you. Whatever you want to talk about.
And I really
Uh,
appreciate
but
it, Peter.
but
Uh,
the problem is this. I've watched your show. The
yeah,
questions you've asked your guests are seriously intelligent questions.
I
Right.
appreciate that.
So, hey man, you guys think a lot. You know, like the other time was this dude was talking about third generation legacy, something like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy stuff, man. I never
Yep,
even thought beyond my son's
yep.
legacy, my
Yep.
son's
Yeah,
generation. Oh
yeah.
wow.
Me too,
Wait a
man. Yeah,
minute. Before I answer
that
your
was
questions,
an intense
let
show.
me put on my thinking cap.
All right, that sounds good,
All
man.
right.
There you go. So what Peter taught me was this, because he asked me a question, just thinking like, okay, so the first part's going to be about that, and it's actually not. And it made me think, it's
Okay.
like, wait a minute. I always tell everybody, dadpreneur is about dad first, entrepreneur second. But in my show, I always start about the entrepreneurial questions.
Hmm.
So Peter taught me that I need to revamp my show and start changing my questions. However, I didn't have time for that now, so we're just gonna hop right in. So Peter, let me first ask, man, because I checked out your Facebook profile a little bit, and you're teaching people, you're giving tips, right, on how to navigate the digital landscape as entrepreneurs. And for that entrepreneurs, that's
Yeah.
something that's very important. So I just wanted to, yeah, share some tips that you share with entrepreneurs. And what does it mean? What does it mean to, the digital landscape?
Well, one of the things that whenever I start a talk or a webinar or a subject,
Mm-hmm,
I always try to paint a picture of where we are right now. You know, our generation grew up in a totally different environment.
mm-hmm,
We don't have the internet. We don't have uh, smartphones. Okay,
mm-hmm.
we have to learn to use all this stuff. And you look at the generations right now. The moment I step outside of my house, I see everybody's on their phone. Nobody calls each other anymore. Nobody talks to each other anymore. Everybody is texting. Everybody is browsing. Right. So that's the new digital landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we as an online marketer or digital marketer, we need to reach and we need to build relationship with these kind of people. So
Mm-hmm.
we are not we are not able to get results if we are using the old traditional way of communicating with this new generation. So we have to find a way to go where they are. They're no longer reading newspapers. They're no longer, in fact, not they're not even reading anything print. Okay, they are
Mm-hmm.
all on the internet. They are all on the smartphone, the smart devices, and they're all texting each other. So one of the biggest change that I've realized is that social media is huge. They're all on
Mm-hmm.
social media. Instant messaging as a platform is huge because everybody is texting each other. They're not even
Mm-hmm.
talking to each other. Like for
Mm-hmm.
instance, I've grown to from the time that when I was I love getting phone calls. I love getting mm, letters in the mail that people
Mm-hmm.
actually write,
Yep.
right? And then I love to read that. That was a long time ago. So
Mm-hmm.
when I grew with the time, I realized that nowadays I do not like to receive phone calls, especially from people I don't know. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
even really like to read emails anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to reach me, where I would take the time to respond to my followers or my clients or whatever it is, right, is a text. So I
Mm-hmm.
have migrated most of my communication on Messenger, not even
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp. In Singapore, where I'm at, almost everybody are on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is huge over here. But
Yep.
there's also a huge trend that everybody is also moving on Messenger. So I have moved on to Messenger. The rest of the world, like the US, when we are marketing our products, our offer to an international audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
We usually market to the T1 tier countries, which is the UK, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. They all basically have no problem going into using the Messenger. But in my local market, for instance, when I'm serving my client in the real estate industry, in the new estate niche, they are still very ingrained to using WhatsApp. Okay? But regardless of whether it's WhatsApp or Messenger, do you see the correlation, which is instant messaging as a platform to communicate and reach out and serve the clients? Right. So this is a little bit of education, so that whoever needs to understand building the business online, right? They need to understand that this is a trend. This is what people are doing. So we need to find a way to reach them. So one of the things that I'm very big on is using the bot, because the bot is basically a technology that's leveraging on the Messenger as an instant messaging platform, which is supported by Facebook and Facebook ads to reach out to our audience. So that's one of the things I do.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, I love messenger bots. I'm getting more and more into it, and it's definitely something that's been helping my business, especially what you mentioned, right? We now go global instead of being local.
Yes.
And I gotta sleep and I gotta be with my kids. So at least, wow, I think at least 18 hours of the day I won't be on Facebook. So I need something to be there, and it's the cheapest receptionist that I can afford. So, so yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. That said, before we go in, like I would really like to hear, and I guess the audience, or I'm assuming the audience as well, all about your origin story, right? Share a little bit about yourself, and of course, always important is your family setup, so people can put the whole being a dadpreneur into perspective of where you're at. And while you talk, I'll share this so people know. You can. Hey, what's going on? Good morning, Christopher. Glad you're with us, brother. You can click on the link that I put here in the comments section, right? So you can check out Peter's website. Let me put
I actually do have another website. That's actually my digital agency business website. I have a coaching or personal branding website, which is www.peterchow.com. But Peter Chow, you remove all the vowels, so what's left is just the PTRCHW. So that's so that's my new website right now.
All right,
so
let me. This one.
my origin story, right?
Right?
That's right.
So nice. Cool. So go ahead, man.
Let me double check first, because it may have to /home. Let me just double check that. That's not, because I just no, not this page. Can you put a home after the /?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. /home.
Yep.
Like this.
That's right. Okay, later on, I'm gonna just go into ClickFunnels and just tweak a little bit, and it would work without the home. That's just something that I just forgot to do. Because this is fresh off the oven, by the way. Let me double check. Make sure that everybody can have a look. Yep, that's fine.
Perfect. All right, so people, you can check this out, or check out the link that I put in regards to Peter's business, and let's find out everything we can right now in regards to the origin story of Peter.
All right. Okay, cool. But before I go into my origin story, I am a father of one. I have a 7-year-old boy, and I live with my wife and my in-laws. So my father-in-law, my sister-in-law, and my mother-in-law. So we live in a home. Now, one of the things that I realized that in Asia, we look positively at the fact that we're living with our parents or parent-in-law. I understand that in the Western world, in where you guys come from, it may not be. It's better to be independent. So moving away from your parents is actually a good thing. Moving back to your parents is actually like in a step back. It's completely different in Asia, by the way.
Mhm.
So, right. I guess I should start off by saying that the year I was born, which was in 19. No, we're not gonna start there, right? So, okay. My last major thing that I did was I ran. I used to own an interactive agency. Interactive agency simply means we do interactive stuff. We build digital campaigns. We do marketing campaigns online. We build corporate websites and things like that. It's just basically corporate branding, design work, creative consultancy, and things like that. So I used to have my own agency starting 2003. And from a solopreneur business, back then there's no such thing as solopreneur, there's no such thing as entrepreneur, there's no such thing as social media, there's no, basically it's totally different landscape, totally different world. It's just a very traditional business, a brick and mortar business, and I managed to grow that little business into a multi-award winning agency, a small little agency. It's not a big one. And then after about 12 years of working, running your own business is a huge headache. There are so many considerations you need to take care of. There's so many times when, I don't make enough, and I still have to make sure that my guys gets paid. That's one of the biggest consideration as an entrepreneur. And I also need to make sure that, my vendors also get paid. Okay, my reputation is at stake. If I don't pay my vendors, the next time I need something from them, they're not going to support me. They're not going to deliver. Okay, so it's all part of the supply chain. So from there, I got tired. 12 years of doing the same thing, so it became a little bit monotonous. It became a little bit, boring. So during that time, one of my friends who started a startup actually headhunted me and wanted me to join him to lead his creative team in a very well funded startup company. So he made me an offer that I couldn't resist. So I said yes. So I joined. Okay. So once I jump over there, now this is a transition between an entrepreneurship, an entrepreneur being starting a business on your own, to being an employee. So it's a totally different thing. Okay. One of the things I realized that I can do very, very well is the fact that I can shift my mindset, my responsibility delivery from an entrepreneur to an employee. Okay, so I have no problem doing that. And in fact, it was a very comfortable time, when I was there. It was a well-paid job, a very good position, and I was just doing everything that I love to do, minus all the headaches. Okay, it's a very good situation. Now, good times doesn't last, unfortunately. It was a fintech startup, the usual startup scenario, where the game they play is to build a beautiful picture so that investors can come in and buy the story. The moment they buy the story, they will be willing to sign a huge check as funding. Okay, it's as an investment. So it's basically angel funding, Series A, Series B, Series C. Then they go to IPO. So huge ambitions. Everybody wants to go do IPO, because if IPO is successful, there will be a lot of millionaires. Okay. But unfortunately, the fortune changes almost overnight when it is at the point of they are almost going IPO, hitting IPO. The next day, everything crashed because everything failed for many reasons, right? So the moment IPO failed, the company collapsed because it just doesn't have the right fundamentals in terms of having the right cash flow, profits, revenue must always be more than expenditure and things like that. Even though they're well funded, it basically everything was burnt. When that happened, almost everybody in the company was fired. So that time, including myself, that was the first time. This is a very interesting story in the sense that I was fired by the same company twice. Okay, so
Right.
that was the first time that I was fired, and and everybody who was fired basically was asked to leave the premises immediately, except for me because I'm in a higher position. I had my contract requires me an extended notice period, so I have no choice but to stay back and serve my notice period, right?
Mm.
So during the time management changes, and the guy who took over suddenly realized that there's certain people that shouldn't be let go, including myself. So what happened
Mm.
is that they offer me a promotion. They offer me stock options, additional stock options, and asked me to stay. So while I was looking, all right. So um, I needed to buy time to
Mm.
find something else. So I said yes. So I stayed. But during that time, the job market, including even now, is getting worse. The
Mm-hmm.
job market was super soft. It's really, really soft. There's no job at all, or rather, there are jobs that are not on my level, including,
Mm-hmm.
my age. I'm not young anymore, and the fact that
Mm.
I'm competing with so many younger people who are um, just as talented, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it very hard for me to find another job. So at that time, I was super lost because after that first point of firing, the management managed to find a couple of rounds more of like bridge funding from the shareholders, so they have to pump in some
Mm-hmm.
more money just to find certain ways to go around it and see whether they can salvage the whole thing. But that did not happen. So what happened is that when all the money was burned out, there was second round, third round, fourth round of firing. So little by little, everybody was let go.
Mm-hmm.
And about 6 months later, I was asked to go. This is pretty much like the final round of firing. So I was asked to go. That's the second time I was fired.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I rather realize is that there are so many so-called opportunities out there. But I realized that going back to a position as an employee, finding a job is not a solution for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed to do something different. Because if not, even though I may be able to find something cushy again, but the same situation it may be there. Okay, it's like, number one, I'm not going to be financially independent. Number two, I'm not going to be able to build a legacy for my family, my son. Number
Mm-hmm.
three, the same risk. So when you think about having a 9 to 5 job is very secure, it is not.
Mm-hmm. So,
Being an entrepreneur is very risky. It is actually the opposite. Okay, it's just that some people are lucky; they manage to hold on to certain jobs, and but you know what? There's no innovation. Only entrepreneurs innovate. Okay,
mm-hmm.
so I've decided to get back into entrepreneurship, and by certain chance, I found affiliate marketing. So I came into the first thing I did was affiliate marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's part of my origin story of how I found myself from an entrepreneur to become an employee, and then finally, this is my new game, being an entrepreneur all over again,
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Nice, nice, nice. I like it. Thanks for sharing. I'm not the only one that liked it, actually. Chris, real quick, send a message as well. Thanks, Chris. Always appreciate when you join, brother.
Thank you, thank you.
So that's it, man. Because I was actually, this fits my next question actually fits nicely into your story. What were your challenges in regards to working the 9 to 5 and slash building up your now affiliate marketing business in regards to also making sure that you spend enough time, quality time with your family?
Yeah. Well, first thing I should clarify is that affiliate marketing is not the only thing that I'm on right now. Affiliate marketing is
Mm-hmm.
just part. One of the things that was huge for me is that the fact that I cannot rely on one single source of income.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that happens, something very similar to when Google changes its algorithm or the rules. Those who rely on SEO crashed. Every time somebody rely on, for instance, Facebook, and then when Facebook certain rules changes and you're no longer able to promote it in certain ways, and that's the only way your income will go down. So that's exactly what happened when I was fired. So from a well-paid SVP, I dropped to nothing, to totally zero. So that at that point was one of the lowest point in my life where, I was totally really struggling putting food on the table, and it was really really terrible. So the first thing when I did was when I became an entrepreneur is when I joined a company in affiliate marketing. Now I built a very successful business back then. I was using Facebook ads. I was using ClickFunnels. I was using Messenger bot. Okay, and also email marketing. So these four combined, I built my own system. Combined, built that allow me to make a six-figure income in 1.5 years. So that's pretty good. But what happened was that company got shut down by the FTC. Some of you may know which company that is. So it got shut down. The moment it got shut down. My major income source vanished. The money that was sitting in the wallet that they are still owed to me but hasn't been paid to me yet vanished. The services or the stuff that was owed to me by the company because I paid a lot of money to join them for the coaching and the whatever it is, right? That was owed to me vanished. Everything was gone. So from one point, from very comfortable level to nothing, and then come back to another, build myself another business, and then back to nothing. Now I'm on the next stage where I realized that there is no way that I'm able to rely on one single source of income. So remember that for those of you who are listening, build more than one source of income. So what I did is that I'm in affiliate marketing, but I don't promote everything. I promote the things that I believe in. It helped me build my business. So if that can help me build my business, that would be able to help other people who are trying to build an online business, digital marketing agency, or even brick and mortar, for instance, right? So the second thing that I'm in is I have my own digital marketing agency, so that I can serve businesses that are looking for lead generation services to grow their business, to scale their businesses, right? Now, the third thing that I'm in is, of course, I have my own info products. I have my own courses. I have my own coaching program. Okay, so that's the three things that I have right now.
Okay. Awesome, man. I love it. So that makes me come back to the question, because that's the challenge, of course, making sure that you can provide for your family, right? That's challenge number one, which man, that is some powerful advice, right? We are so focused on thinking that the 9 to 5 is a secure job and we got our money, right? Which you just showed it's absolutely not. Which, if anybody looks at history, it's not, because we just went through a really bad setback where tons and tons of people got fired, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying build yourself some multiple incomes from different places, right? Affiliate marketing, whether that's affiliate marketing or maybe real estate, which I'm hearing a lot about as well.
Doesn't matter what.
Well, it doesn't matter, but that's very smart. Even if you love your 9 to 5 and you don't want to become an entrepreneur, which is fine too. It's not my road. I know it's not your road, but still, hey, we got to respect what everybody does.
Yes.
Still think about starting like affiliate marketing or real estate, whatever it is, to get some extra sources of income. So I love that advice. That working on 3 different things. What I'm wondering is, like, how do you organize your time to make sure that you just mentioned you got a lot of people in your house as well, that would love to see you probably once in a while. Maybe not, maybe it's just too busy in the house room, but still, I know for a fact, because I've seen the picture with your boy, man. You got a great relationship with him, as with your wife. So how do you make sure that they get the time they deserve as well, right?
Right. So what I do is that I segregate my time for work, and where I will take a break and be with my family. And let me give you an example. When I wake up, what I do is that I will go for my breakfast, and I will listen to something, Okay, something that feed my mind. It can be an audiobook, it can be a webinar, and it can be any type of training. So when I come back, I start work. By that time, well, even before that, I wake up early and I help my wife to get my son ready for school. And then when I go for my breakfast. So when I come back, I start my work. My son doesn't come home until late afternoon, but not around afternoon time, right? So when he comes back, I'll just play with him for a little bit, but he knows that I need to continue to work. Okay, but I do stop work at around 6 o'clock. So when I stop work, I bring him downstairs or to the garden or to anywhere, just to be with him so they can run around and burn some energy. So that's the time that I'm with him. And in the evening, once he's in bed and he's asleep, sometimes I continue my work. Sometimes I don't. It depends. Okay, it depends on. There are certain things that I need to rush off. There's certain things I need to complete, but it's still not complete. So I need to see. To gauge how much time, how much work I need to do, and I do whatever it takes. If I need to stay late, I will stay late. Starting on Sunday, I try not to work and I'll be with my family. I bring my son out. We go explore Singapore. We have our breakfast and then we take a random bus and we just go wherever the bus takes us. We get off, we explore the area, and then he enjoys that. Sometimes there are certain activities out in town and we'll just bring him out in town. And there's also certain times when I'm needed in the daytime. That I need to drop off my work and just be with my family, I'll do that. So one of the good thing about being an entrepreneur is that I can drop things off and just be with them whenever I'm needed to do that. And then the other thing is that it's a bit of a challenge for me because I need to balance. What happens is that because I'm living with my in-laws, I don't really have a proper working place. So this is actually a setup that I need to squeeze in my bedroom for the time being. Until I move out. Okay, so when I move out, I'm going to have a proper office. But in the meantime, I just need to make do with what I have rather than complain that I don't have this, so I don't start, which is what a lot of people do, right? So I just do whatever it takes and hustle, like Gary Vee says, hustle. Right? If you need to work until 2 a.m., you work until 2 a.m. so that you get the results that you wanted, so that you get to a point where you can decide whether you want to quit your 9 to 5 and go full time in your entrepreneurship, or stay. If you love your job, what I'm saying is that those of you who have the 9 to 5 job, perfect, keep that, because you know what, that is the safety blanket for you to do whatever you want to do on the side, so that you slowly grow whatever that is that you want to grow, build the legacy that you want to build. Take that time. Because for people like me who all of a sudden was fired and I have no safety blanket, I have problem paying bills at that time. So can you imagine how stressful it is for a group of people like me to start something new from scratch? So for those people who have a 9 to 5 job, perfect. Okay, come back from work, because you do not need to worry about putting food on the table. You don't need to worry about paying bills. Then you have the freedom to really focus, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours a night, or you wake up early in the morning, build that business, the side business, so that when that side business grow to a point that maybe it exceeds or match your current salary, you have the freedom to choose what you want to do.
Exactly.
Okay, don't be like me. We wait until you are fired, because every industry goes through cycle. You may be in a very safe position right now, but that safety is a very false sense of safety. It may happen tomorrow, like that. Okay, so the other thing that I want to share with you is that in my home country, in Singapore, I have seen the banking industry, I wouldn't say crash, but they got into such a bad situation. They had to lay off thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Manufacturing done that. The banking industry has done that. The service industry has done that. There's so many industries. It goes through cycles. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it will. So the advice is, be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
Wait until you are in a position where you have no choice, then it's harder for you to make decisions to start from scratch.
No,
Does that
I
make
have. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm working on with my clients. We're building upside incomes for them first, and
Yeah.
then go into the entrepreneur vision and dream that they
Yeah.
have. And
Yes. So
that's
don't
what
buy into the thing. Don't buy into the concept of, there's so many gurus out there that says hit your boss, hit your 9 to 5 job.
yeah.
Don't.
No, no.
Have a sense of gratitude that your 9 to 5, no matter how much you hate it, gives you the security blanket to fly, to do whatever you.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
If you hate your job, guess what? Find another job that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Find another job that you don't hate.
Yeah.
Because one of the fastest way as an employee to grow is to jump from one company to another company, because chances are the other company is willing to pay you double or whatever higher salary.
Mm,
And most people, like for instance, I came from the creative industry, right? I have seen designers, because I hire a lot of designers,
mm,
programmers. They were making, like for instance, $3,000 a month. And then in between while they're working there, they're not that happy. So what they do is they look for another opportunity. So another company will come in. There will always be another company who are willing to pay them 4,000 to come and join them, especially if they have the talent.
mm-hmm.
Right. So the way to progress up faster as an employee is to change company.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have choices. There's so many choices.
Yeah.
9 to 5 is, I always call it a security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Leverage on that while you can.
Yeah. I hear. Yeah, I actually didn't get fired. I quit and then started. And now I'm just like, man, if I knew this stuff what we're talking about right now, right? If I'd known this 5 years ago, for example, I would have been in a way better position. Like I'm in a good position, right? But it's still like went through some rough times, as in starting up
Yeah.
your business. You know how it is. It's not like what you hear from the gurus is like, oh man, you start a business in 60 days, you're making 6 figures. It's like, no, you don't.
No,
You
that's
might,
BS.
but most don't. So yeah, we live and we learn, right? So
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. That was some great insight on that. Look, man, we went over something really quick, but I want to mention it again because I loved what you just shared. You shared you take off the weekend and then you hop on a bus randomly, right, with your son, go on a drive and then decide, okay, we're going to go off here. We're good. Let's go get off here and let's start exploring, right? Let's
Yeah.
start creating an adventure.
Yes.
That
And
is
an experience
so
between father and son.
yep, that is so important, man. I know we went over it real quick, but that is actually one of the biggest advices I took from that. Is like, that is some great advice. Now I know I can't do that in Madrid. So how is Singapore like? Because I know there are places that I cannot get off because I will go home without any money. So
Yeah.
can you just do that in Singapore? Is it safe everywhere where it's just like
Singapore is safe. Singapore has a very good public transport system. We can just hop on almost anywhere, and we can go. We can go anywhere. Even if we just drop off and explore the places wherever we are, we can always come back and find another bus stop, hop on another bus, and continue with some whatever it is, right? So it's safe and it's very convenient. I don't have a car. I used to drive. I don't drive anymore. But I'm looking forward to winning a car. One of the affiliate programs are having contests, not contests. They have a bonus, a reward program. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, when that happens, when I have my car, there's even more convenient for me to bring him, to places that public transport is harder to go.
Of course.
That's even better.
That's
And
awesome.
one of the thing, my hometown, my mom and my little brother is in Ipoh, my hometown. I'm from Malaysia, but I'm Singaporean now.
Okay.
So it's if I were to drive, it would be something like an 8-hour drive from Singapore there. But I love driving long distance. It's a road trip. I love that. And I miss when I was driving, and I do that quite a lot, and I love doing that. So I'm looking forward to that experience and drive home regularly.
Yeah. Absolutely, I can understand that. So when you're talking about driving, I got a cool tip as well for you and the audience that I
Yeah.
heard somebody share in a podcast. It was actually Aaron Walker, Big A from View from the Top. Him and his wife would go on trips. He would give his wife a coin and then
Mhm.
say, before every turn, you have to flip it. And then heads is going to be left and tails is going to be right.
That's interesting.
All right. That's the same as what you're doing with the bus. That's why I got so
Yeah.
excited when you talked about, we just hop on the bus and then you just, at a certain point, one of us decides, let's get off, right?
Yeah.
That's creating.
Usually it's my son who decides whether to get up or not.
There you go. Exactly. So that creates a great adventure because you have no idea what's happening. And apparently, because I was talking to somebody else in regards to adventure, how to create an adventure. And the biggest thing is it has to be something of the unknown, right? And
Yes.
but also that teaches us, because we're so afraid of stepping into the unknown, to grow as father, as a husband, as a person, to really step into the unknown. I know for me, it's very difficult. Like, I love to go to the same amusement park every single time. I know we're going to have tons of fun for sure. And I'm going to be in my element, right? But that way you have no idea what's going to happen. However, the more risk, the higher the reward, right? I guess that's the same thing when you do that stuff. And I love it.
Um,
Stuck. Uh-oh.
okay, we're back. So I would love to go to a mall instead. Okay, because I love I can't stand Singapore heat, really. I keep thinking that I was born in the wrong continent. I need to be somewhere cooler, and not as humid as Singapore. Is crazy. So what I appreciate if I were by myself is I would go to a mall. I have a cup of coffee in a mall. Okay, I walk around in the mall. I like that. I don't like to go out in the sun. My wife is completely different. She is a very nature type of person. So she would prefer to go to a garden or outside, where there are lots of nature. The more, the better. So completely different. But when I'm with my son, my wife always says, "Don't go to a mall. Bring him to nature." So I'm always like, I got to be careful where I bring my son.
Yeah.
Like that. So every time it's a balancing act. Like, for instance, the last trip we went home to Ipoh, we what we did is that we took a site tour. We drove up to we have a car in my hometown, my brother's car. So I drove my brother's car up to Cameron Highlands, which is like up in the hills, high hills. So what we did is that we it was cooler up there. We visited a bee farm. We visited a tea plantation. We visited a something else, strawberry farms. Like that. So then we came back, and on the way back to Singapore, we make another detour, and we went up to Penang. So in Penang, my wife insisted that we visit another farm, which is another bee farm. We visited a durian plantation. So basically, what my wife wanted us to do is to expose my son to as much nature as possible. The things that are more difficult to find in Singapore, because Singapore is a concrete jungle.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that's fantastic. Well, then you're lucky. You got the perfect match to do everything. Of course, it's also good.
No, it's not perfect. It's hardly perfect.
Yeah, no. But I mean, it's perfect in a way that she has something that she really enjoys, and you enjoy something completely different. So for your son, let's say it like that. For your son, it's perfect because now he gets, he gets to go with you to the mall as well. I'm sure you take him once in a while, which is good. He's got to experience that as well. But he also gets, the experience of going to the gardens, going to the different, bee farm, tea farms. I think that's brilliant. We don't have that. Like, my wife and I both like to go to amusement parks. That's pretty much all we do. She doesn't like to go to the zoo, so I will take them. However, my parents, for example, they love the museums, right? So when they're here or when we're here, they take them to museums. They like opera, so that they listen to the opera music here instead of what we always listen to. So it's good to have that kind of variety for your son or for your daughter, in case of other parents that have daughters. Really get that variety going. So later on in life, they can choose for themselves. It's like, okay, what do I like, right? instead of just mommy and daddy always taking him to the same spot. And
Yeah.
right,
Yes.
so I like that. Props for your wife. So one of the things that I want to discuss as well, because time is flying by, and I really liked you did that as well, that you took your son with, is what we talked about. I think it was a couple of months ago, where you took your son to like a special day where you get your hair cut
Yeah.
in regards to, I think it was cancer or something, cancer awareness. Or
Cancer awareness.
I'd love to talk a little bit about that, and how was that experience taking your son and making your son aware of this? Because I think it's so important.
That event is an annual event organized by the Children's Cancer Foundation. It's called Hair for Hope. So basically, people are giving up their hair by shaving it
Mhm.
bald, and just to raise awareness that the children are suffering with cancer, loses their hair. So we're
Mhm.
giving a message that don't worry, we are with you. So we um, I do that every year since the beginning. I think it was started in 2020. Oh, I can't remember. 2015. I can't remember. I started from the very beginning.
Mm.
I find that it is a very worthwhile thing to do. I don't know, or rather, I may not be able to contribute any other way. But this is easy for me. This is really, really easy for me. But to a lot of people, uh, you know, they're not willing to cut their hair. They're not willing to shave their hair. They're not willing to. They come up with 1,001 reasons for not doing it, because of the job, because of this, because of that. But to me, um, it just drives me crazy when you tell me that you may get fired by a company if you
Mm.
shave your hair bald. Okay, to me, that's a bad employer. You
Mm.
should never be fired for doing something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started from the very beginning. So every year I shave my head bald. And I started talking about this with my son last year, and he said, "No, I don't want to go, Daddy. I don't want to go." So yeah, so this year around, I managed to drag him along, and he really didn't want to go. But he was warming up to the idea. So the first time, when we did it, it was fine. Everything was fine. And when he came back, he started telling me, "I want to go and shave another time. I want to
Oh.
shave 3 more times." What he was telling me is that he want to shave 3 more times this year.
Ah.
That's funny. So no, we do it once a year. That's enough. We're going to go again next year. So he
Mhm.
was very receptive to the idea. He likes it, and I'm trying to find um, very unique experience that only I can share with my son.
Mhm.
uh, that gives me joy and bonding with my son. Like that. I
Yep.
love
Absolutely. Yeah. No. No. Not just. I love it. I think it's immediately an advice to all dads out there. Try and find unique experiences that only you can share with your son. I think it's so important. That's why I wanted to highlight this real quick, because when you told it to me, I was like, man, that is awesome.
that. Hmm.
And then when you after that said, like, my son actually is going to do it this year, I was like, man, that's triple awesome. We got to talk about that, because I love it. And now that you share, because I didn't know yet that he's all getting excited. And now it's like, I want to do this more often. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this every month. Right? That's crazy.
My hair
It,
grow very fast.
it grows fast, man.
Yes,
Mine, this is a week and it's still not growing. So, but yeah, I'm keeping it
that's
bold.
okay. Look, embrace it. You look good. It's
Nah,
fine. You look good.
yeah, no,
Embrace.
I'm shaving it every week.
Yeah.
Everything. It's too
I,
hot here.
I have
So,
I have close friends that are balding, and they're very
mm,
worried about their baldness,
yeah.
and they pay thousands of dollars to get their hair done,
Wow. Yeah.
grow again. So every once in a while, not once in a while, maybe a couple of times, I I did think about what happens if I go bald. I don't have the problem. I have very thick hair, so I'm blessed in that sense. But
Yeah.
we'll never know. One of these days, things just happen, and I may just go bald. So what am I gonna do?
Mm,
One of the things that well, maybe it's easy for me to say right now. It hasn't happened to me yet, but what I'm going to decided that I will do is that I will embrace it.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
will embrace it. If I need to shave it, monthly, I'll shave it monthly.
Mhm.
You know,
No, exactly.
whatever it is.
It is what it is. I'm not. Yeah, hair
Yeah,
is
you
hair.
look good. It's fine.
No, but I'm saying is like hair is hair, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
one
it's
of the
just
things I
hair.
don't have to worry
You know,
about.
it's just hair.
But some others do. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
hey, what we
Well,
gonna do?
to each is his own, right? It's
Mhm.
okay.
Absolutely. But however, when it comes into what you mentioned, is that's very powerful. It's like if it would, if you had the opportunity to do something for somebody that actually has to suffer, right? That not has no choice because of a disease, and you get to do something. However, you don't because of your vanity. It might be time to sit down and really think about your priorities in life. Check out your values a little bit better. Uh,
Yeah. But
that's my,
I'm also very conscious about the fact that I shouldn't step into the shoes of being righteous. You know, it's just
mm,
my opinion.
mm,
Uh, there's no point in time that I can be right, that I will that I can make the other person wrong for not doing or doing something that
mm,
is different from what I believe. Um, whatever the thing is right, it's fine. Whatever it is, if they don't want to do it, it's fine. If
mm,
if they're enrolled to the idea of it's just hair, right? It's nothing. It's a
mm.
good cause. Do it. If they're doing it, fine. It's all right. Okay, because I don't want to get into the point where I get into, oh my goodness, you are
Still
no good.
vain. Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
No, that's great advice as well. Let me
but
ask
that
you. So,
happens. That thought may come. I just need to
mm,
be aware of that. Okay, let it go.
yep,
Let it go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's absolutely great advice. So, let me ask you. What's it called? Hair for Hope. Is that something that's just done in Singapore? Is it
It's
just done locally, or
Singapore
is
locally.
it worldwide? Can everybody do it on that day and just shave it
No,
at home? Or
as far as I know, it's only Singapore.
okay.
Yeah,
Specifically local organization. I was wondering because I thought, hey, that would be a cool day. Just have a one day in the whole year worldwide called
start a
Hair for
Facebook
Hope,
event, man.
and
In
everybody shaves off.
in your country.
Sorry, what?
Start a
Started off.
Facebook
Yeah.
event in your country.
I can't. I have no hair. Everybody be like, it's easy for you. You already have no hair. So, man, I love this. Thanks. I appreciate it. We went in a complete different, man. We've
Yeah.
done two topics that I want to talk about. We went completely the other way. I appreciate that. Let me ask you this though, because I already wanted to talk about it now, even more so. Because now I know that it's really busy in your house. How do you make sure that you create moments with just your wife, right? Because that, with having even more people in the house than only your son, is going to be even a bigger challenge than I have with having two sons at home.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest thing that has suffered in our relationship. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
mm, uh, we don't have a lot of uh, together time, the two of us. I guess the closest thing that we are able to do is whenever we are together, my son is always with us. Okay. Um, the things that we do, like for instance, when I have an outing with my son, it's just the two of us, right? It's father and son, right? My wife would have her mommy and son thingy as well every
Uh-huh.
now and then, right? So usually it's a Sunday where we go out together, the three of us. So that's
Mm,
our family time. That's our together time.
wow.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Exactly.
She
Exactly.
understands, she's not demanding about just being with. She doesn't need me. She has my son. Okay, when my son is born, is different. She doesn't need me anymore.
I can't believe that's true, but some part it absolutely might. But it's sometimes, yeah, I gotta say, well, your son's not getting 7, so he's getting more into the age, or from what I've understood, towards drawing more towards his dad. But in the beginning, he was most likely drawing most of his mom. Like my boy, 6 and 3, man, if they see that mommy is like that, he doesn't exist anymore. It's like, dude, we just spent all day, we did all this cool stuff, but really, mommy, right away? Really? No. Thank you, daddy. No, nothing. No. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting, but we'll see how that continues to grow, right?
Yeah.
Um, So I appreciate you sharing that. So let me ask you as well, because you mentioned something very important. You said that once you wake up, you put on some like audiobooks or some YouTube videos or podcasts that really feed your mind, right?
I
And
have a coach, and my coach produces a lot of training materials.
uh-huh.
Um, there's well, it really doesn't matter what it is. I have the need to always be learning,
Mm,
right? If I don't fill my head with the right stuff, it may self-indulge itself into the wrong stuff. So I
mm-hmm.
rather feed it, with the right stuff. So one of the good things that I can do very well is that what I learn, I can repurpose and leverage, and
Mm-hmm.
I teach it to other people.
Ah, nice.
All right. So either in the form of my YouTube videos or in my webinars or in my coaching program. So that comes super handy.
Yeah, that's really nice. So you're saying that you are listening in a way to learn so you can teach it to
Yeah.
others. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been hearing about that more and more, and I'm trying to implement it for myself. It's an easier way to learn. It sticks better within yourself. Plus, you learn twice, right?
Yeah. Every time you teach, you learn again. When I was younger, I used to be very. One of my superpower is reading.
Mm.
Learn something by reading. I picked up HTML coding by reading. Can you imagine that? I've learned
Wow.
how to play, how to use. If I don't know whether you know Photoshop.
Mm.
Photoshop is a software that the number one software that designers uses in the industry as a designer.
Mhm.
Okay, so I learned Photoshop from books. Well, of course, learning and doing and practicing. Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I have the
Well,
ability to read huge books when I was
hmm.
younger and pick up things like that. Now I don't. I can't. I can't read. I'm very slow reader.
Hmm.
What I read, I think. I can't speed read, so it takes too long to finish a book. So I would prefer to listen.
Oh, okay.
It gets digested easier. So
Hmm.
as I grow older, I prefer to listen rather than reading. I still like
Exactly.
to read, but it's hard now.
Yeah, 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 I hear you. So you made that transition from
Mm.
reading books now to
From print books to
just
audiobooks.
reading to audiobooks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, the thing is, I'm doing both.
Mm.
I never read. Let's say that because I had a live interview the other day with the guy Oleg Kagan. I actually call him the librarian, uh, and I was talking to him, and I heard my mom giggle a little bit in the back because she was like, "Dude, you never read in your life." Like me, I've never read in my life until the last 2 years. Now I start reading, and I'm also switching a little bit to audio. It's just the problem with that I have, and I would like love to hear your experience with audio is if the person that speaks, right? Because there's somebody that's reading that book for you, doesn't have the right energy.
Yeah.
I hate the book, even though it's a great book. Like I had that with the book of Tim Ferriss, 5 hour. No, what is it? 4 hour work week.
4 hour work week. Yeah.
It's on you. You can find it on YouTube. I'm assuming it's illegal, but still, I was listening to it on YouTube. The voice was horrible. I did not like the book, and
Yeah.
that's my personal issue. And I closed my mind to actually the things that he's sharing, right, that are important.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is that something that what's your experience in that, and how do you deal with making sure that you pick out the most important lessons from an audiobook?
Um. There are two. There are basically two paths that I take when it comes to learning. One of them is what Stephen Larson coined as just-in-time learning. So what that means is that okay, if I need to pick something up so that I can solve an immediate problem that I have, then I'll read that. Okay, and or the other path is that generally this is the area that I need to improve on, that I need to grow. So I would just consume that general topic like that. Like for instance, I'm always learning about Facebook ads. I'm always learning about messenger bots. I'm always learning about building funnels, right? And
Yep.
also growing lead generation and things like that, right? So, but there are also certain times when I'm building my funnel, and there are certain things that got stuck and don't know what to do. So I will purposely go and find the training, the video on that. Okay.
Mm.
So, um, you are right about, you know, the audio plays more important than the video.
Mm-hmm.
So if the reader is boring, I will not read it. But
No.
one of the things that it depends on the source of the materials. If it is from YouTube, or if it is on um uh you know, any source that that are free that you can gather, if that is, to me, is unconsumable, that I can't learn, because there's just something, you know, it could be the voice too high
Mm.
pitch or whatever it is, right? It just bugs me, you know, it gets in the way of me learning. I will stop
Mm-hmm.
listening and find another one. Okay, there's so many people teaching on the same topic, right? On the other hand, if my source is from audiobook, like for instance, I do Audible. I buy my
Mm-hmm.
books from Audible. Now, one of the good things about Audible, or even Amazon, well, Audible belongs to Amazon now, right?
Yeah.
One of the good things about getting my books, my audio books from Audible, is the fact that if I don't like that book, I can return it and exchange it for another one.
Oh, nice.
All right, so I can do that all the time.
Huh.
So it's not a problem.
Exactly. Wow. I learned something new. I didn't know that.
Mm.
No, I had a different problem with Audible, but you know that's some other time. Not important. That's cool, man. I appreciate you sharing that. So you're reading. It's possible that you read multiple books at the same time. Then, like you're reading to solve a problem. Right?
Yes.
If you have a problem right now, that's what you focus
Yes.
on. For could be
Yes.
any book, right? You just grab the book or maybe the chapter in the book, and then you got your set books that you're reading to improve your skills that you've determined for. I don't
Yeah,
know.
solve a problem, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
cool. I like
And there are
that.
a lot of times I couldn't finish a book because I was just distracted you know, towards other things.
Mm-hmm. Can you like I can't like there's people that can read like a chapter and then put the book away. I've heard, and they got the you know the problem is solved. They found the solution, right, and they can put the book away. Dude, I cannot do that. Like I get a book, I gotta read it. I gotta read it till the end.
Yeah, yeah, me too, me too. Either I
Okay.
don't, I gotta read it to the end as well. But like I mentioned before, I find it harder and harder for me to read. So there are now a lot of books where I've read like halfway,
Yeah.
and something more important came out I need to do, and that book was left
Mm.
unfinished. And it bugs me, you know. I really,
Yeah. Right.
really finish this book. Oh my goodness! And when I go on holiday, I bring this book with me, but I have
Yeah.
no time to read.
No. I have the same. I see it in the back of my head in the
Yeah,
in the, in the
I
car.
say, oh,
It's calling me and looking at me. It's like, dude, you didn't finish me yet. That's awesome. That's
uh,
great. All right. So I appreciate that, man. It's almost time, so I don't want to get into because I have some big questions that will take us at least 15 minutes to talk about. So I'm going to skip those. I do want to give you the opportunity. We saw your, let me get the banner real quick. Right. We saw your website so people can check you out and follow
yeah.
you and follow your journey.
Mm.
So that's one. But two, share with us what for dadpreneurs out there that have some questions, want to get in contact with you. What are the best ways besides checking out your website?
All right, they don't even need to check my website. I'm not here to promote that. Um, the best way to reach out to me is to find me on Facebook, Peter Chow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you know my face, so you can easily find me there. Send me a friend request, and we can continue whatever conversation that you want to start on Messenger. That's
That's
the
all.
best way, right? So on my Facebook profile, there will be other links. You know, like for instance, you can join my
Mm-hmm.
my free private group. You can there are many things there. So if and when you can't find certain things, you can always drop me a message. I prefer that than
Mm-hmm.
me, you know, giving you certain links to opt in to anything. No, I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. That's perfectly fine.
The thing to do is that we need to be in each other's circle as friends
Mm-hmm.
before we do anything. Now, one of the things that I learned from Gary Vee is the fact that no, he has a book called Jab Jab Jab.
Right hook. Yeah.
I love that book so much because it actually changes the direction of my life. And there was one point in time that I find it so hard to generate traffic, and all of a sudden my income, we rely on traffic.
Yep.
And I read that book. That book told me, dude, forget about traffic, forget about sales. The first thing we need to do is give value, solve other people's problem, help people. Okay, don't think about, because the thing that we were taught in my first affiliate marketing company is sell, 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 sell. Everything
Yep.
you do is all about selling. And one of newbie mistakes is that we just link drop everywhere, which is the wrong thing to do. So basically, that book got me back into the right path, where I started my training thing. I started doing webinar. I started speaking on stage. I started doing YouTube, and I teach what I know. So that changes the way that I do things, and with that, people started to get to know me. So that's the beginning of my personal branding, rather than someone who is an annoying guy on the internet and just link dropping me every time I talk to that person. So that changes. Jab, jab, jab. I listened to the audiobook. I love it so much. Yeah, it's right over here. I bought it from Amazon.
Oh, nice.
I haven't read this book. I just love it. I just love the smell of print book.
Listen to the audio, smelling the book.
Oh.
I love it. I still need to buy it, so I'm jealous. I still need to get my hands on that. I appreciate that last golden nugget, to put that in there right before we end the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show for an hour. I had tons of fun and great insights. I got a nice little notebook full of nice little nuggets from you, so I appreciate that. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining us during this time, or watching, listening to the replay audio, whatever it is. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. I'm going to repeat, like I'm always, the way I end. If there's anything that you picked out, like for me, it's the bus thing. I love that. So that was for me the biggest thing that I picked out, besides the other ones. But take action, right? Don't just write it down and think like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that someday. No. Just, if you have the chance tomorrow to take the car or take the bus and do something like that, and do it right away. Because if not, trust me, you will never do it. So appreciate that for sharing that, Peter. Thank you. Everybody else, thank you so much. And we will see each other very soon in another live interview. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you still meeting up with your friends now that you're a father? Kids making you stress out. You got no time for yourself to work out, read, or relax. Can you still remember the time you were hanging out with your friends, feeling energetic, happy, and confident? Spending time together and talking about your life and your crazy dreams. You're feeling alone now, don't you? No one to share your challenges with, and you're just running around from one storm into the next. Well, it's time to change this now. Join me and the Brotherhood of Fearless Fathers to speak on a weekly basis with like-minded dads to crush your challenges, face your fears with determination, be held accountable, and regain control of your life. If you want to become the hero your family needs you to be, then go to becomeafearlessfather.com/brotherhood. I'm looking forward to seeing you on one of our next calls.